A show so nice, we're doing it twice. Welcome back, everybody, to Attempts at Governance, episode 334. Big show this week. Lots of people back on the panel for Bitcoin Pizza Day and all-time highs. Wow, we were streaming on the wrong key there. Opening back up to the open dev call, which was very spicy yesterday. If you didn't see it, lots of big announcements and lots of questions unanswered. Maybe we'll get to that a little bit later in the show. Starting with the state of the Treasury, in case you missed it. Looking very good with $30.73 million worth of potential just waiting to be spent and put to good use. 4.78 million USDT and 3.51 million USDC. Now with great remorse and apologies, I have to throw it back to Funky for a second shot at the state of the funk.
Thanks so much, Jay. I'll try to be more concise this time. The state of the funk is admittedly curious. And what I'm curious about today is whether or not some of the DVs who have voted nay on Ref 1542 will change their mind. Now, the reason I even bring this up, I know it's a hotly debated, contested ref, it's about 50-50. But as someone, as the head of protocol partnerships who spends a lot of other time in ecosystems outside of our own, I have been witness to the hundreds of millions of dollars of DeFi incentives that these other ecosystems that we're competing against use to lure in new users, fresh capital, what have you. So remember, the Gav said the treasury is there to be spent. And this is a great initiative for a team that's been hardworking through the bear, has always been here, stuck by Polkadot side. And it's already getting a lot of traction thanks to the Polkadot Kaido leaderboard. So this is really interesting. I think it's a great time and we should really strike while the iron's hot and do what we can to bring more eyeballs to Polkadot by luring in more new users. So thanks so much, Jay.
No, that was even better. Thank you very much, Funk. And I do want to show on screen one more time this unreleased Coos chart showing the very best our researchers could find of the history of other ecosystems incentivizing DeFi activity. You see Phantom on the left with over $1.25 billion worth of incentives, hydration, and the Polkadot ecosystem all the way on the right there. And that bar includes both the 1 million DOT campaign from before and the to be determined ref that we're going to be speaking about today. Yeah, definitely puts it into perspective there. But thanks very much, Funky, and sorry to make you do that twice. We're going to throw it over to Limo now for a look at Referenda gone by.
I'm getting a bit of deja vu. I even had to squint again to see Polkadot on that chat. It's crazy. Right, so there's 4 refs gone by this week. The first one is Polkadot Esports. This is on the Treasurer track, Ref 1533. This was a big one and it was rejected, and it was for $1.51 million for Phase X Vitality, unifying the ecosystem efforts through esports meta proposal. And I'm going to spoil it for better. Heroic, that Polkadot sponsors, did beat Phase last night.
Yep.
Massive underdog W. Congrats to the Heroic boys. Then we've got Bot Labs on the medium spinner track, Ref 1535. This was approved, and this is for 291,000 USDC for a 6-month extension of the Poke Berlin team. So congrats to, I just saw Ingo. Congrats, Ingo and the guys.
Congrats, guys.
Then we've got the Polkadot Ecology, Ref 1531. This was approved, and it's for 210,000 USDT for the operating costs for the research organization, Polkadot Ecology Research Institute. So congrats to those guys. And then he's back. Better on the small tipper track, Ref 1569. This was approved, and it was a 50 DOT tip for CypherTux's work on a wallet drain issue. Quite a good thread. And see him on Twitter all the time, so congrats to him. And that's all the refs come by this week.
Nice to see a tip come through. Actually, for the last several weeks, tips have been the only things that went through the Treasury, and it looks like that's all going to change now. But hopefully we can reignite that tipping culture. We did attempt to do so on the Monday call, didn't we, Limo? But didn't quite go according to plan. That RFP app getting closer every day, and we'll show that off on Monday. I think it's going to be even better. Did want to give Ingo a chance here to maybe, if you wanted to say something, congrats to your whole team there, sir. Really happy to see this come through with 78.8% support in the end. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was really great. Thanks for everyone who voted. Also, so the learning from me from that is it is really, really important for people who put up a referenda to actually get in touch with the DVs. DVs don't necessarily know everything about what somebody else does, and it's always very, very hard to actually put it in one document and explain everything around it. So it's really good if you go to the office hours and what they have and explain the stuff that you do, because in the beginning it was very, very much nay, and talked with all the guys, and then it became very much yes, and that's cool. And also thank you for everyone in the last AAG last week, which I also watched, which was really, really nice. That so many people actually explained what we do and why this is important. We are already working. Very cool. Thank you very much.
That's great. What are the next things that we can expect from your team? What should we look out for?
Well, we're doing the stuff that we actually said in the proposal. We're working on all those things. We're currently in discussions with one project which is very, very close to signing something, which then will be hopefully also be very much recognized out there. This is currently sitting at the Web3 Foundation for signature. Another thing is going through different committees and stuff like that. So I'm not going to go into the details about who it actually is, but you will see something.
Looking forward to it. Thanks very much, and thanks for coming here as well. Also, just wanted to point out that Polkadot Ecology, closed already, but that was a close one, 52% I think it was on the I side there. So looking forward to more communication from that team with this relationship going forward. We have to roll in right to the show now. We've wasted too much time, starting with the title ref of today's show, Big Spender 1573, Polkadot Community Foundation, Polkadot app, Treasury funding #1, and we do have 2 digits behind this number here. That's 1.03 million USDT. Berto, America, what's going on, dude?
Mate, it's all about freedom, I think. Oh, I've already started. All right.
Yeah,
all right.
There we go.
All right. I got a presentation because I thought that might be good.
Let's rock.
Can you see this? Yes, you can. Okay, great. So I thought I would kick off with a little bit about the PCF because I'm not sure if everyone is aware, and also I'm going to speak very, very fast because I want to try and leave as much time as possible at the end. So Polkadot Community is a foundation that was set up by the DAO. The PCF, it's called PCF now. PCF is publishing the app, holds the IP, manages all the relationships with vendors, and has the end relationship with the end user. There are a couple of other people involved, some on the screen. Parity is doing design, project management. Nova, who I think most people know, is doing software development. And Raise, which was mentioned when Bjorn announced the app, is doing the payment services, current payment services. A little bit of history. The PCF was set up with Ref 820. There was a ref for the PCF to own the IP of the app, 1082. There was a ref for the PCF to own the dot authority, which is on-chain on the people chain, which is 1177. And the current ref 1573. I will share this as well after if anyone wants to read, but I have a little bit here around like principles of the product, because again, not everyone is probably aware of the app and what it is, but we're really making something that is easy to use. People should, never lose their funds through the app. We want to make it very familiar and make it, easy to use, easy to understand, and it should always work. There shouldn't really be any downtime. Target market is probably males at this point, 25 to 35, crypto curious. We're looking to launch in the States, hence this beautiful freedom background. Probably in 3 areas, Texas, Florida, California. Picked because yay crypto in those areas. The app, if you are not aware, lets you manage your funds as a self-custodial wallet. It lets you pay in a whole bunch of different regions and get cash back. You'll be able to stake named Earn in the app with the normal return, 13% or whatever it is on chain. And the pay functionality opens up to about 1 million retail locations. So your wallet, 1,000-ish brands in the States. Cool. So a little bit of overview on the ref. It is funding for the next 6 months of development. This will include finishing the app development for the V1, the launch, and actually launching the app. And we have a whole bunch of stuff that we want to do in the future, which this ref will help fund. So some of that is like gifting DOT, improving our on-ramp experience, push notifications, swaps, additional payment features and kind of better on-ramping. We have a whole bunch of some ideas around like community building things we can put into the app as well, and some integration of the W3C later down the line. And States is awesome, and I love the States, but we need to roll out into other countries, so this will also help. About the budget, the ask, as you mentioned, is this weird number, which is just a sum of all the numbers in the sheet, so I probably could have rounded it up, but anyway. In the ref, you'll see also the budget. You can see most of it is software development. We also have money in here for operations, so I think we have already done one audit with SR Labs. And I would imagine we should do another one at some point. So there's some allocation there for that. What else? We need to pay the raise costs. We actually have customer service, like a live chat built into the app as well. So anyone that needs help can just like instantly chat with someone, which is quite nice. So we need to pay for those people. The marketing spend is very low. Someone commented, but this is just a salary for the person to do the role. We're working quite closely with the marketing bounty and all the PCFs. And to roll out to other countries, there's going to be some legal cost involved. It's not for free. And there's a small amount in there for tooling, so we pay for GitHub and the software development tools we use there. 4 minutes in. The other thing, I saw some questions on the dollars per hour of the software development. I think that I looked at a bunch of refs over the last 6 months or so. And I think that the app is, the funding rate for the FTEs is around 120 an hour. Looking at compared to other teams in the ecosystem charging the treasury, we seem to be about in the middle. And I didn't also cherry pick, I just looked at like big and medium spender and went down the list from Tommy's latest report. So seems to be relatively middle of the range. I did also record a little video. It's only a minute long. I cut it quite closely so you can see, and I'll explain it very quickly. Hopefully it plays. Play. Oh, here we go. Great. Launching the app. You can see the onboarding. So this just shows users like the main features or kind of functions of the app. You can create an account. I'm using Touch ID to authenticate and set up my wallet. Here I'm putting my username. This is registering on chain. There's no gas fees to pay. There's no transaction fee to pay. That's loading in the background. I can see my wallet. I have 0 funds in there. I have Pass and WND because it's the test version. I can see Pay, which has a little onboarding which shows you how it works. It's all very quick. I'm sorry. Showing some of the merchants. You can scroll down and see the cashback rate. Those cashback rates are in dev. I can scroll through some popular brands and kind of see where I might want to shop. I need to add some funds to my wallet because I have no money. I can copy the addresses, Passeo. Just got to deposit. I'm staking now. I'm putting in 10 Pass and confirming that loads, and it is done. Again, it's pretty easy. Here I'm sending funds. I'm going to type into one of my other accounts, Big Banana. I'm going to send $10 and confirm. You can see there's no extrinsic, there's no transaction to sign, there's nothing else. Other interesting thing, if I delete the app altogether and then download it again and open it, Touch ID, and look out as my account. There's nothing else to do. So here is my money again. So if I change devices, lose my phone, anything like that, whew, that was quick.
Good job. All right, we have, yeah, go ahead, just keep going.
Yeah, and so why fund this? I think covers 1 month of retro and 5 months of future in the future. I think the other criticism I've seen is that the app development has been pretty slow. We're a little bit slightly behind schedule. This proposal also adds an extra 2 developers per 2 developers total, so 1 per platform, so we can hopefully ship stuff faster. Will also let us launch and roll out to other countries.
All right, Jose. Let's keep it,
I didn't want to press that button, but it went. Anyways, great presentation, Alex. That's awesome. I have a question. Can this application, can I on-ramp my US dollar, not my USDC or T, just my US dollar? Can with my credit card, I can put X amount of USD in there.
Yeah.
That's the first one. The second one is identity. So this identity, that's awesome, right? Is there any way I will be able to vote with the application too? I think just, kind of like important at this point, the more people we bring in the ecosystem, the more funds there are there, voting will be great. So that's for it.
All right.
So very quickly, yes, is an on-ramp built in, or we're using Meld. Secondly, I don't think voting is something this app should do. I think if you want to vote, you should use Nova.
All right, let's get one more comment here from Carrillo.
Hey, Alex, thank you for your presentation. I'm personally somewhat appealing to this product. It definitely goes to the adoption. I'm representing Gem DAO here, and currently we're pretty much ready to vote no for this. I will elaborate why. So the first one is you're claiming several times during the proposal and actually here that the code is open source. We are developers and we know what is open source code, so we're waiting for code to be actually open and we want to see the code, that there is something, the development is going on. Because the second point, which is more my personal one, we've been, like a lot of us have been through a lot of treasury proposals. You can see, like for me, $700K is a huge amount of money for 6 months of the mobile application development. Honestly, the gem developers, like the protocol hardcore developers, are getting much less. So we want to see breakdown of the salaries, hourly rates, amount of people.
In the proposal.
Probably need to like check this amount one more time, or at least we want to see why it's so expensive. It is actually expensive. You can check like the Ager proposal or like a Gamikern proposal. They're actually asking less money for development, although it's a much more difficult like matters, I would say.
Yep, if you look in the proposal, there's a budget breakdown with roles and FTE.
Okay.
And the other thing, it's open source. It's on the PCF repo. It's just not open source yet. So once we launch that, it'll be made open source. I can share a screenshot. There's development going on.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly, there is a 700K for a software development, but that's exactly what needs to be broken down. That's the biggest portion.
All right. Look, I don't want to be rude to the people who still have their hands up, but we don't want to be rude to everybody else who wants to present today. We're going to have to put a pin in it right there and invite Berto back to the show. This is only 2 days old, so by next week we're going to see where all these DVs land, and then we have the exotic dance of getting to the end of the confirmation period. We'll see how it goes. Wishing Berto and Big Banana a great week ahead, and we'll see you all next time. Thanks for coming on. We're going to move on now to Nemus. We have folks from Nemus here. Who's from Nemus? Okay, then we're going to move right on to NFT Mosaic MVP Grants Program. This is a big spender, Ref 1570, and we are less than a week into the decision period, but 7.2% support so far, so a ways to go. What do we have on the nay side here so far? Just some on a non-count actually carrying the nay here so far. So we have Charu, Alex, and I think a whole crew of characters. Welcome to the show. The timer starts now.
Hi. Yeah, we did bring not the whole team. This is probably half of the team.
Okay.
But there were questions in the proposal in comment section. Who are the people? So we said, okay, yeah, it's time to show there is a lot of people. Everybody's probably sick and tired of seeing me around all the time. So anyway, the proposal is mostly about improving on open governance. Okay, it's about getting the projects in and launched and getting the users in and kind of sticking in the ecosystem. The proposal is a bounty. It's not a proposal for us to get money. It's the bounty, which then, if approved, gets a reminder to the ecosystem, gets the second referenda where the curators get chosen. So who gets the money, who gets to distribute it is still to be determined and confirmed by all the voters of everybody. So that is still to be determined, and this is an open call for those who are interested in participating to participate in being a curator. That's something that we can certainly use some good people. We did extend invitations and got confirmations from some key people who know how to do business development in Polkadot. But that call is open. This is a bounty. It's ecosystem thing. The whole idea is about not funding future projects, but it's to launch. It's for projects launch an MVP and bring in users. Each project will get their own KPIs, their specific ones, and that's the key here that benefit to Polkadot. It's serial project attraction and user traction. If you take a look at, I just looked at the latest report we have. Asset Hub has just a handful, two, three, four, five maybe dApps that use NFTs on it. That's it. It has like 30,000 NFTs on the whole chain. Just for reference, Unique is hitting 1 million, and the guys and the Mythical guys have 12 million. So that tells you that Asset Hub is needs a wake up, needs kind of massive input of new projects, fresh blood, fresh start. This is not a kind of an idea to solve all the problems. It is focused on startup projects on their beginning phase, but it nails them down to launching an actual, first iteration of the product. So it's not about development, it's about the launch. It works. We have done the same thing for a year and a half in Unique, and that's how we got to having 500,000 users on the chain. We have almost 1 million NFTs and so on. We are doing this to bring more people to Polkadot. That's it. So off to Charu for kind of further details. Sorry.
Sure, thanks, Alex. So from my side, yes, and we've partnered with EasyA in the past, exactly doing this, graduating hackathon winners and participants into the CodeCraft program who could use further guidance and deliver applications. The second thing I just want to highlight is that the team, there were questions about the team. We've added a presentation on team bios. So we have on the call Masha, who's the director of engineering. We have Daniel, who's level 1, rank 1 on the technical fellowship as well, key contributor for NFT XCM. Andy, Max, all in the technical team. And then we have Philip, who was working on just helping the CodeCraft applicants with the MVPs, and Kevin and Esther have been helping the CodeCraft recipients with their marketing campaigns. So that was a quick recap of the team, but please spend some time to look at the team bios for anyone who doesn't know the team members. And the second thing I want to highlight is that we received very good useful feedback and questions from Juan Flander, and we've provided detailed responses. We've even created a community FAQ for just the proposal related FAQ and posted there in the comments. Anyone who doesn't have the time to read the full proposal can go through the FAQ and the summary. And
5 minutes.
Time's up. So I'll pause there. Yeah, I think questions now.
Yes, let's open it up for some questions. Who's got one? Yes, Angie. What do you think?
Yeah, so hey guys, this is really great. I mean, we, from a gaming perspective, have been thinking a lot about this idea that we need, we have Mythos chain, we have Mythical in terms of our kind of go-to-market leader in the space that has big IPs that are attached to it, real games that are attractive to real players. But we need more landing strips in Polkadot. Like we have this soft landing strip, which is called Mythical. But so we're really excited about Polkadot Hub. We're excited about, now we've been working, because we have this Unity SDK for Polkadot, we've been negotiating with Unity to get a much better deal from them, which has made us realize that the game engine is not as important as something on top of that where we could give it to a game developer and say, here's how you do it. So we've been working a lot with Cedric actually over the last month or so to try to understand Sage, and we're very excited about those as onboarding tools. Having said that, so yes, and we want to do hackathons and everything. And all of those things to get game developers excited. Once you get them in building, we still need to have some sort of a playground where people can come and there's community. And we absolutely need all of this content. But how could we collaborate on this playground? Because this is a big deal. We need to get the people to be able to create games. And then second, we need to have this playground. And these feel, I don't know how they fit in.
Okay, so you're uncertain about how this fits into the bigger picture?
The bigger picture of driving kind of sustainable growth.
Yeah.
It fits very well. We discussed this with number of BD teams and with you as well. And I think I have a good picture on how it fits. When somebody comes to you and you're not sure, okay, if they can deliver, if they can do stuff, they can be launched through this with a very cheap and easy way to check things, and they can prove themselves to you, and then they come into your pipeline. Same thing, so the deal flow goes like that with every BD actually organization we spoke to, with Pokey, with everybody else. This is a great vehicle to quickly, cheaply test and see what the team can deliver, and to actually get benefits in a very accountable way. They don't get the money unless they deliver.
Okay. So if somebody comes and says, I want to build a game, you have the tools for that.
Yeah, we'll show them how. The very first recipient of Jorge, just to finish. So very first recipient of Codecraft was the Stripey guy who made that game. That was like, the got like 10,000 users in Polkadot, and he built it in a week. The blockchain piece.
So let's collaborate, because I think that we have a problem with keeping, like, nobody can name more than a few games, right? We have a problem in terms of keeping and building.
All right, I'm getting lots of little time gestures here, and everyone's right. We are out of time here, but we'll look forward to seeing you guys next week. More votes to come. Yeah, as we said, there's just one Anon account carrying the nay here, so we'll check it out next week. Thank you very much, Angie, for those comments and your big picture perspective, and thank you guys for coming on the show. We're gonna now roll over to Phil and Dom, milestone 2 of the EasyA by Polkadot. In-person hackathons and in-app Polkadot 2.0 crash course, 360 days of Polkadot. Nice to see you guys here in Toronto. I think that was a huge success, the hackathon. What else is new?
Yeah, thanks very much for having us, Jay. Toronto was amazing. It was so cool to see so many people coming from our 360 days of Polkadot, coming to visit the Polkadot booth, coming to meet everybody in person as well. And actually, it's the perfect segue from what the team and what Sharu and Alex as well are talking about in terms of overall building up this ecosystem of developers. A quick update from where we were last time we were on AAG. First of all, I'd like to say a big thank you to everybody for their comments and also support as well. Thank you for everybody who voted on this referendum. For anybody who is just seeing this for the first time, since this is the first time we're on the AAG when it's out of the discussion phase, Dom and I, we are the co-founders of EasyA. I think we know everybody here already, but for anybody who's listening to the recording, we are the biggest Web3 education app, and we have been working in the Polkadot ecosystem for a number of years now. First connected via the Parity team back in 2022, and really invited us into the ecosystem. We hosted our first hackathon then, big success, and have been continuing to work in the ecosystem since then. So I'll just talk a little bit about that overall intro about the app, and then what I'll do is I'll hand over to Dom to talk a little bit about the hackathon so everybody knows what was going on in this proposal or referendum. To clarify, this is retroactive. And so I think we had a couple of questions from the community earlier about how does this fit in? It's retroactive. How does this all work? The way that we structured this proposal was in response to a lot of the community's feedback over the past couple of years and throughout the Treasury that the community wants to see people who are basically put themselves on the line, so to speak. So the way that this is structured is milestone 1, that was fully funded up front, but we also had milestone 2, and milestone 2 would be done after the fact. So essentially, that's why we put it together like this, and that's why it's labeled retroactive, part of the social contract that we had together with the treasury, that let's first deliver, let's make sure that we hit everything, and let's deliver it first, and then get all this. And obviously, this is a method that the community support greatly too. So diving into then the meat of it, EasyA, we worked very, very closely together with Web3 Foundation and Parity on revamping the content. The first time that we put together this content was over a year ago. And so a lot has changed since then. We've had new narratives, Polkadot 2.0. We have Polkadot Hub, which is changing the developer surface area completely and making it a lot more accessible. So that rather than developers just having to build a parachain, essentially as being like the way to get into Polkadot, they can actually deploy smart contracts. So we focused on that. We built a bespoke IDE within the EasyA app. We also built a completely bespoke smart contract deployment within the EasyA app so that developers can feel what it's like to actually write a smart contract, all from within sandboxed environment, and then literally deploy it onto West End. So that was really, really exciting. And massive thanks, obviously, to everybody that we worked with on Web3 Foundation side and also Parity on that. In particular, obviously, Radha, Remy, Becca, Nick, and Nico as well on the Paper Moon side. So lots of different groups involved. And really, really cool thing is that everything that the developers were building, really translated into a lot of excitement. And so we were syncing out with Parity. I'll share my screen for a sec because this is really, really cool. They shared this smart contracts dashboard, which is their internal dashboard. And basically, after we went live with that smart contract deployment, also with basically the hackathons, just over that hackathon weekend, we did 2, one weekend after the other. Becca sent this screenshot over and she was like, wow, we're really seeing a lot of developers start to tinker. So, to the point of Sharo and Alex and what we're working on with the fast grants as well. Big part of what we're doing is we want to translate this into when this does go live on mainnet, that these developers then come through. So working on that bottom of the funnel. But I'll hand over to Dom to talk a little bit more about the hackathons.
Definitely. Thanks, Phil, for that introduction. So after the app, after people complete the app, after people do the challenges in the app, we then invited them to 2 landmark hackathons on both either sides of the Atlantic, one at Harvard University in Boston and one in London, which you'll see on the screen right now. And these were absolute standout hackathons. We had over 350 developers at each one, lines around the block, people lining up since 6 a.m. in the morning to get in. And many people, in fact, even stating this was the busiest hackathon they've ever been to. So seriously impressive to see the community show up to those. And then also, obviously, us drawing on our community to make sure that all of these amazing minds were focused on Polkadot solely. So this was also a Polkadot exclusive hackathon, meaning that all of these hundreds of developers were actually there only focused on Polkadot. We obviously had people from Polkadot ecosystem come out in person to all of those hackathons. Radha came to Harvard. Remy came to London, for example, and we had them deliver some amazing workshops as well, which really inspired developers to build many, many super cool projects on Polkadot. And those are now going through, many of them actually, after winning prizes, are going through and applying for grants. So those are really cool teams that were then inspired to build for the long term, and not just people who show up and build once and then leave. These are people who are now being funneled through the ecosystem to get grants and also to go through our micro grants program, which we're running with a couple of other great participants in the ecosystem as well. So really excited to see that long-term retention, and this is just the beginning.
Cool. So we want to leave those last 2 minutes then for questions. Thanks everybody for being on today as well.
Good stuff. Nice to see that pipeline getting developed as well. Let's have some questions, comments, or concerns from the panel. Funky. And Kristen, I'm sorry, I'm not sure if you're raising your hand again or not, but just let me know if you want to say something. Go ahead, Funky.
Oh, just real quick. I was just going to say, I was actually asked by Sasha to judge the hackathon. So I was there at Consensus with the guys and got to see these products built out by people who are interested in Polkadot. So it was really just an honor to kind of see that happening in real time. So just wanted to say thank you again for having me there. And it was really cool to see.
Thank you. We appreciate you taking the time as well, Ryan. It was amazing to see the project.
Okay, Jose.
Yeah, I was also present there, and I was just so impressed by the whole thing. So, but the point I'm trying to make here, or what I want to make, is the fact that we are, these people are coming for a weekend and they are building solutions, and they're like, "Hey, I won." And if you look closer at some of those, they can be prop to basically disrupt some markets, right? Big time. And having people in the ground analyzing these things is important. So if you are in these, involved into these hackathons, or are you, there observing, just getting there, because opportunities are aplenty and without any kind of, VC money. So makes even these more attractive for mentoring and launching these people to start on, basically. So yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you, Jose, and genuinely appreciate you as well being there as coming and helping to guide these people through the ecosystem and working really hard together with Parity as well. They've got new initiatives that we're helping to support as well with getting these builders the support that they need with the team directly there. That's something that's obviously been missing a little bit in the ecosystem for a bit. And so, hats off to both the community, Jose, Ryan, everybody, and obviously Jay for all the work you do. We also, and then Parity is also stepping up more in terms of that developer support post hackathon. So working very closely with them on that.
Okay, all good to see. Thanks very much, guys, for coming on, and nice to see the progress here. We'll check in next week on that. Now, who's here from the Davos project? Raise your hand. Give me a little jingle. Who's here from Davos? Matteo. Yes.
I am.
Yes, sir. Sorry about the wait. You want to present? It's kind of more in discussion phase or demo phase. I'm not sure. But we're going to give you just a few minutes to show us what you got going on with this Davos project.
Yeah, correct. So basically, I don't know how much time do we have, maybe 5 minutes or so. So I'll try to be very brief.
Yes, please.
So basically, we are noticed that DAOs are struggling for different reasons. The first one is difficult to choose the right delegate, which are chosen by sympathy rather than value alignments. The second one is the misalignment between delegates and users. So token holders often delegate once and forget, so without control and transparency over what the delegates actually vote. And also there is a lack of automation, and a lot of effort is required to go through everything that is under discussion within the delegate community and in the OpenGov. So we came out with a solution that is called Project Davos, which is an AI governance assistant that helps users on Polkadot to match with their ideal delegate. So our agent, the agent Davos, is able to infer the match between the user and the delegate. And I will quickly show a prototype. So you should see
we see it.
the screen. Okay, perfect. So this is on Figma, so it's a prototype. Is a mock-up for this space. But basically, you can see here a bunch of delegates, including the COSDAO, and others. But basically, the users choose a profile. And these are some profiles. He's also able to provide a prompt to create their own profile. We call this profile ethos. And then the agent analyzes the recent delegates' activities to infer the delegate profile. So let's go, for example, here. And you can see that basically there is a monthly digest with a summary of what the delegates is voting recently. Then you have the core values of the delegates. You have the philosophy spectrum of the governance with some metrics. There is the voting tendencies, what is the approach with the treasury. And finally, when the user has connected the wallet and basically has created the profile, the ethos, you have the compatibility between the user and the specific delegate. And also here down, you can see the recent proposals. So basically, yeah, this is the prototype that we are building, and at this point we wanted just to showcase this, have some feedback, and yeah, and the next steps would be to come out with a formal proposal to submit to the forum for a temp check, where discussion and further validation will happen, basically.
All right, interesting stuff. Let's hear from the panel. What do you guys think about having an AI assistant, sharing your preferences with an AI, selecting a group to delegate with? What do we think? All right, Camille.
Yes, hi. I just want to share a brief feedback, maybe for me as one of the guys who sometimes appear to kind of contacting different DAOs, and maybe this would be really helpful to kind of have possibility to share feedback about, for example, I don't know, some particular DAO, and so that others can then evaluate whether they actually want to nominate or delegate their votes to this DAO, because sometimes, yeah, some DAOs, they really share really good feedback and they're very communicative. Some others, they are not. And maybe that's well, that tool might be helpful to kind of evaluate how good some DAOs are. Yeah, I don't know, just some thoughts. Thanks.
Yeah, totally. Jan?
First of all, awesome idea. That's a very, very cool project. And first thing that came to my mind was like, how do you guys think of addressing the potential social issue of getting biased, because you kind of create these bubbles of opinion, and I just get involved with the opinions I like, the opinions and then I kind of we kind of lose the space to discuss, different opinions, getting these social bubbles. Have you guys thought about it?
Yeah, that's actually, it's a very good point, and we want to reduce any kind of overhead between users, token holders, and delegates, rather than create this like bubbles, or we don't want to stop discussion at all. We just want to have an assistant, an AI assistant that helps with the decision. We also are working on solutions to reduce the hallucinations of LLMs. So basically, to make sure that the LLM is not hallucinated or cannot be jailbreaker somehow. We want to use multiple LLMs to have a stronger opinion. And then, of course, this is very early, but in a later stage, we also want to provide the user a way to basically connect with others, and also to provide additional information from their own source. For example, if there is something discussing in private chats, the user can add this information manually, basically, because of course the agent won't have the access to that channels. So yeah, but it's a good point, and we want to work on that for sure.
Hey, Matteo, maybe you want to write this down, but there's actually a source of incentive that can really help you here. There's a roll-up on Polkadot called NeuroWeb by Origin Trail. And they're putting verified knowledge on their decentralized knowledge graph, and they're actually incentivizing it with their Neuro token. And if you were able to put OpenGov facts onto the DKG there, it would solve your problem with hallucinations, and it would also actually be a source of income for your project.
That's awesome, and I know the Origin Trail guys.
There you
so
go.
Yeah, that's
it out.
Good. Yeah,
cool.
Thank you so much. For further, I know there is no more time, but if there are feedback, or you want to reach out, please connect on Discord or on Twitter. You can find me as Matteo Carbone or Carbonaut. Maybe I will drop the link on X on Twitter. Yeah. Here. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming on and sharing that idea. The freaky future keeps on coming. We're going to move on now to Ref 1575. Stuart Stott, are you there?
Hey, Jay, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. Nice to see you on Space Monkeys this week. I hope people checked it out.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I wasn't great, but you were.
I thought you did a pretty good job, actually, but thanks very much for that as well. Obviously, Alan stole the show from both of us, as he always does.
Far too handsome South African.
You can't compete. You can't compete. Look, we have 300,000 USDT ref here for milestone 1. This is just 2 days old and not a lot of votes to speak of yet, so we'll have to check in on it next week. Yeah, we'll start the timer here. What do you want to talk to us about today?
Yeah, essentially, this is really how do we maximize anything we do in the sporting space. So looking at the Inter Miami partnership, it's an incredible partnership in terms of brand awareness, but actually driving user engagements and the key metrics that are important to the community. It's not going to perform that way until we have a tech solution. What we're proposing is obviously creating the solution that allows that fan engagement, but also allows people to get on chain and track all of the key metrics. I think one of the things that's happening a lot in Web3 and sports media rights deals is that there's no transparency between what people are spending and the results they're getting. And this has become painfully obvious in a lot of the deals that are going on at the moment. And what we want to do is provide that transparency by creating dashboards for the community, but also building something that's actually going to create the engagements that we need and also the data that's required as well. From our side, we've built some incredible tools there, from prediction markets all the way through to fan engagement, and then things like AR activations around the stadium and globally. But really, how do we sweat these assets that we've acquired? There's a load of assets in terms of giveaways, product, advertising commercials that haven't been used yet. And it's really how do we use those in a way to drive consumers into the right space where we collect all of that data. But the big thing for me is there's a lot of referendums and a lot of things going on in sport right now. And this is going to be a recurring problem. The problem is we're going to do these deals, we're going to get rights, and we're not going to be able to make those rights really count. So how do we create a platform that literally makes sure that every sports deal moving forward generates the outcome that we're looking for and hits those KPIs that are important? And we've seen this across the board with like deals done with Manchester United, with various other football clubs, and it's the same thing every time. It's we're going to get these rights, we don't know how to use them, we don't know how to onboard users, we don't know how to get fan engagement, and we don't know how to create those key metrics. And for us, this is a really straightforward way of doing it and making value from that partnership. I've seen some of the questions that have come up in terms of obviously looking at the length of the deal. The length of the deal is ending in February, so there's a small period of time now to act and drive this forward. But the idea for me would be that beyond this can be applicable for any single sports sponsorship that's done, and then driving users through that process.
All right, thanks a lot. This app right here, this will extend beyond the length of the sponsorship deal, right?
Yes, exactly. So essentially the app itself can be reskinned for any sports project. So it's not just about Inter Miami, but I think what we really want to do is showcase the power it has. Inter Miami has an incredible fan base. And I think when you give them something that, and this is slightly controversial, feels Web 2, but is Web 3, because a lot of their audience is not Web 3. So there is a big proportionate audience that is, but I think it is essential that we give them that Web 2 experience, get them onboarded, and then can educate them in there. I watched the Kwok brothers earlier talk about what they've been doing at that grassroots level, and I thought it was incredible. And I think there has to be some of that built into what we're doing here. And we've obviously had discussions with them on how we bring those educational pieces in as well.
I've seen some pushback so far, people saying that because Messi's renewal is still up in the air, perhaps this app wouldn't be worth it at all if with that uncertainty. What do you think about that?
Messi's a goat of the game, so I can't say that he's not, and he's a huge draw to the club. I think the one thing that you'll realize with Inter Miami and with the leadership team there is they're not going to stop bringing people to the club. And I think I'd be surprised if Messi doesn't retain his position there in one way or another, whether it's playing on the field or signing kind of the next generation of goats to the game. But really, this isn't just about Inter Miami. It's about the framework for the future on how we deliver sports sponsorship right. Because we're going to continue to spend on sports media rights deals. And if we're doing that, the most essential thing is we get real value.
Okay, all right, thanks. Any questions or comments? We have a lot of time left. Good job, Stuart.
I speak quick.
That's nice.
Hey, Andre, how are you doing, mate?
No ideas? Curious. We'll have to see. Let's see, $300,000 from Milestone 1. What does the future funding of this project look like?
The reality is that we want to look at the user interactions to drive the metrics. We think we can get enough out of the metrics that are already there from the Milestone 1 that you might not need future milestones, because we're building out something that we think is robust enough. Yet we've put Milestone 1 because we just don't know where the future leads in terms of the fan engagement piece. But I think we can drive enough user volume to do this.
Nice. Jose?
Yeah, while at Consensus, I was exposed to basically a sponsorship, but dedicated exclusively to players, right? And I'm wondering, if there is something there for you guys to explore in terms of, hey, fan engagement, and I want to be part of this, intellectual property that is a player and its future. So, I think there's something to explore there in terms of where you can take this farther, just as a token, right? So there.
I totally agree, and it's been quite an incredible journey for us. We're obviously launching Sports Illustrated predicts in the next couple of weeks. So in 7 days we go live with Sports Illustrated's prediction market, which we're hosting gamers versus Hall of Famers there, and we're committed to basically driving on-chain activity. That's what we see. It's all about trying to drive users who are maybe not from this world into this world. And adoption is the thing that we always come back to, is how do we drive mass adoption and make it as easy as possible for people to come on board. And I think in the Inter Miami case, it's just a subset of the bigger problem, which is whenever we negotiate any deals in the sports space, what does it actually mean for transactions? What does it actually mean for the value to the community? And I think as long as we put that at the base of these proposals in any of the sports ecosystem, I think it's going to be a kind of a good guidance for change. And if you look at some of the other big Web3 players and blockchains who have done this, they've regrettably put these pieces in place where it's been around NFTs, or it's been around things that are kind of giving fans an asset that's diminishing. And I think what we've got to do is give them an experience where they feel really positive about it. And I think that's what's really going to change the perception to fans, to clubs, to sports rights holders, but in the end, bring the biggest value to the community.
Got 30 seconds for a comment from James.
Just a quick comment. I'm a little bit biased because of my location and my involvement with Inter Miami, but I think this particular proposal has tremendous value for what we are going to be able to do with Inter Miami going forward, specifically with how it's going to add wallets and transactions into the Polkadot economy. However, I echo Stuart that really this is just solving a much larger problem. And I see tremendous opportunity well beyond Inter Miami and a lot of the conversations that I personally am involved in, and I know other BD agents around the world are involved in. So it's a total eye for me.
I think just bouncing back off that, James, the sports rights holders want to know how can they fix this problem, because they don't want to lose the sponsors like Polkadot. They do not want to lose the revenue, but they don't want to lose the prestige of have someone like yourself. So the big piece for me is, how do we educate the sports rights holders on what they need to give us and what we need to give them to make this work synergetically? And that's been missing so far.
All right, thanks very much, Stuart, and good luck with the launch of the SI Predict and the NBA. It's the launch of SI Predict this coming week, right?
Yeah, it's coming up in 7 days' time. So sipredict.com, and yeah, check out the socials. It should be quite big.
And if you haven't seen the Space Monkeys we recorded, it's super cool. I can't wait to see how this whole program is implemented. It's going to be really neat.
Thanks, Jane.
Moving on now to Ref 1564, funding proposal for Bounty Hub, 98,905 USDC. 32.1% support right now, and it looks like we have a couple of DVs in the mix. Hungarian DAO on the I side, Chaos DAO Kustot delegate on the nay side, and who do we have sitting in abstain here? Not loading. We can't see it right now. But anyway, who do we have on the call to discuss this today?
That's me. I'm Vasilis.
What's up?
Hi, everyone.
How's it going?
Good. Thank you for having me. It's my first time on the AAG as well.
Yep. We'll start the timer. You can go ahead.
Yep. All right, so to introduce a little bit of what we have with this proposal and what we have done previously, and you can all hear me, right?
Yep.
Yeah, oh, good. In August, we got funded to build a tool called Bounty Manager to enable easy and one-click interactions for bounty curators, which is the version one of the software that exists today. And what we are proposing this time is a little bit of a larger vision in order to build a platform that is going to be to make bounties accessible to everyone, any kind of user without technical knowledge, and also include a lot of other features, not only for curators, so not only having it as an operational tool, but also for anybody who wants to explore bounties or potentially see where their idea or project could be funded from. Also, eventually, potentially have financial analytics that users can immediately see about the bounties, and the bounty curators themselves can include to generate their own reports. And we also have some ideas for including RFP tooling. For example, there is a tool in development for an RFP launcher, the one you were talking about right in the beginning. We see a potential to have a dedicated section in the tool completely for RFPs, for example, so that potentially a software development company can check the tool, let's say once a week, see what RFPs are available on Polkadot, and they would pick and choose something they could develop on. And then more specifically, what is proposed in this proposal, we want to implement a backend with an indexer. So the tool at the moment is completely front end. It is based only on the blockchain. We want to include an indexer in order to make multi-sig management a lot easier and simpler. So the first step on this roadmap that we are proposing now is once again for the curators. So it's to make the user experience of a curator as simple as it gets, and to have the tool be the only one-stop shop app the curator would use. So not switching between UIs in order to confirm the call data for the rest of the curators of the multisig, and not having to share call data in an external off-chain app. Essentially, all of the curators of the multisig would be able to log in and see if there are open transactions, see notifications about it. We also want to include a few login functionality simplifications to make it even easier to onboard new members who might not have any experience at all with blockchain or Polkadot. And we're also proposing a few more visual upgrades and fixes to the software. I think that is it for my description. So we can go to the questions we want.
Let's hear from Angie.
Okay, so I'll just say that I've been a little bit of a guinea pig here because, we're running a bounty. And I can tell you that being like, bounty manager / curator is incredibly difficult for the average person. There are, because of all these apps, like Vasily said, you go to the lowest common denominator, which is just polkadot.js. And then what you do is you copy paste multi-sig data, call hash data, you send it to the curators check your email, and then you also send dot to forget about it if you have to actually send somebody fiat, but the exchange rate risk you take is also ridiculous. So sorry to rant, but it needs to be a lot easier. So Vasilis showed it to us, meaning Joe Petrowski and I, and Joe is like, make it even easier. If we want to onboard business development people who are experts in their field of XYZ, and they're going to use this to run a business, it has to be a lot easier than Polkadot.js. And this, I think, with Vasilis has also already paid for a lot of this himself. So thanks for doing that.
Okay, we had Jose.
Thank you.
Perfect. Love what you're doing. But I think it's a little steep pricing for kind of like what is being delivered in the next little while. Nevertheless, I want to add that, there is some people working in the RFP tool that will allow basically bounties to be created with curators and things like that. And I think if you integrate that with your solution, along with the management of things, you are bringing a whole new market into it as normal users will do, right? Because now you're taking that complexity out of it, and you're making it, open for anyone to make a bounty and put the curators in place. So I'll recommend you just, to kind of like even rethink what you're doing a little bit, and then just try to focus into having a roadmap that basically includes that. And, and I hope to see you here next week.
All right, Ingo.
Yeah, I basically want to second Angie here. So we need more experts. I think we also have this HR discussion. How do we actually get people in, not only developers, but also people around that? And the UI of Polkadot is not sufficient yet. And I think from all that I have seen so far, maybe Nova Wallet. Okay, Nova Wallet is fantastic. But on second place, I would say, is actually already the bounty manager. So if you haven't seen it, play around with it. I think it's a really good example of how user interfaces should be. And I know that because I was also asked that Mercedes is really engaging with the community here and getting feedback, and it has changed so much from the first version to the second version to the third version. And I think only the first version was ever paid by the community. And so I think it's time that those people actually also get some credit for what they're doing here, because it's fantastic work.
All right. Anybody else?
Thank you very much.
All right. It looks like we're gonna wait for a few more DVs to come in. I guess they're deciding all the votes. So yeah, I guess we'll check in next week. Thank you very much for coming on, Vasilis.
Thank you very much as well. Thank you for having me.
Good stuff. All right. We are going to now move on to some refs that we previously discussed and taking another look. The folks from the Latam Polkadot Hub project, did we have any of them here?
Yeah, I am here.
Who's that?
Jan.
Oh, Jan, what's up, dude? Okay. Yeah, so revisiting this one, 1558, 95,000 USDC. I think we're sitting kind of where we were last week, 30% in favor, with Hungarian DAO on the I side, Polka World on the nay side, and Chaos DAO is also there on the nay side. Almost 8 million voting power for Chaos DAO now. That is wild. But Jan, what do you want to say with us today?
Yeah, we are in strong contact with Polka World. They are pinging back with a lot of questions. We are answering all of them, but unfortunately, Chaos DAO, we haven't heard of them, so we don't know anything, but let's move on.
Okay.
I want to share a bit more information from last AAG. So my counter is started at 7 minutes. Should I count for 3 minutes?
Oh, no, time. We need a new time. We need a time reset there, Funkatron.
I was already getting anxious.
Yeah, no. Okay, we'll give you the full time. Go ahead.
So I want to share more information because I remember you, Jay, said it would be good to have a more clarity on the assets we have, what we are actually bringing to the table. So I would like to share a bit of our current assets that we are proposing to update to Polkadot. We have a lot of different resources, but I will focus on the main ones. So, for example, our YouTube channel from last 90 days, this is our all the content we have and the watch time, everything. Then we plan to all the video descriptions to point it out, to give have CTAs, call to actions, to invite people to join on specific onboard path that we will create for Polkadot. But this is just to update all our video descriptions, everything to point to these channels. But what really matters is the Solidity ones. And then for this, we have the courses on our bootcamp platform. So we have here the Solidity, this Solidity course. Then we have this Solidity course, NFT collection, and then the games. I'll take the games, for example, where the developer create a game from scratch. So all these lessons today, they are not pointing. So here's the section with all the lessons. Let's take a lesson as an example. This is not, we are giving some instructions to developers like, hey, you could apply this or that, but we're never telling them which blockchain to pick, and we want to update this content to really point them to West End and further later on the real production asset hub. But we also want to update all these courses, these 3 courses of Solidity that we have for Spanish. So today we have Portuguese and English, and we want to update this content to Spanish. So we but more than that, from updating this content, we also think that the real result will come from the articles. We have today almost 2,000 published articles in this platform, where all these articles from Solidity, let's take this for example. Here we are teaching Solidity, low-level math, a lot of different content from community members. And right in the end of articles, we have this call to action, where today is just generic. We're just inviting them to the Discord. We want to create a Polkadot campaign here to invite them to our Polkadot onboarding journey, and we will probably put on bigger articles, we will put another CTA in half of the article. And here is the data from these articles. So most of, for example, in the last 3 months, we have 200,000 visits of. So our SEO is very good in terms of ranking Solidity content. And all of this is most from Portuguese. So we also want to translate our articles to Spanish to drive attention from broader Latam community to this to all these articles. So we update this content and add CTA call to actions to invite them to Polkadot. And here's sorry, I skipped that when I was talking about the builds. Here's all the metrics. All of these dashboards are all public. All the data we collect and do analytics, we share this data publicly. So here you guys can see from the Solidity smart contracts is our biggest course, is the most successful course we have, is almost 3,000 subscribers. And then for sure, what matters is really the lessons, because some users subscribe, but they never start. But here we can see the lessons that the users submitted. So this whole course is not telling them to use any network, and we want to point it out to Asset Hub. But this is just on the update part of what we already have, and we want to update to Asset Hub. But we also want to create more content. And after a lot of community feedbacks from budget breakdowns, we also added this resource explaining all the new content that we plan to create. Is, I think, where the real value is on this DeFi 101, where we will teach how to build all the building blocks of DeFi in Spanish, in Portuguese, and English, and then all of this driving attention to the Polkadot Hub. So to summarize, update previous content, create new content, live support on Discord, and 3 hackathons on the whole Latam. So that's what I wanted to sharing today, because I did the whole introduction previously, and I remember you guys asked to see more numbers, what are our current numbers. So I think most of we had some concerns regarding the numbers that we were proposing, like 1,500 of developers is a lot. So as I showed, we already have a lot of exposure, a lot of SEO working in favor from our past Solidity initiatives. And now we want just to update that, but go beyond and create even more resources in Spanish to get even more traction. That's why we are proposing a number that we really think is solid, is not a moonshot. We really think is solid. We can reach this goal of 1,500 developers deploying applications on Asset Hub. And yeah, that's it.
All right. Thanks very much. Yeah, nice to see those numbers. Somebody in the comments, I think you addressed this last week, but the White Rabbit is saying marketing bounty. We have a whole treasury dedicated to this sort of activity. Do you want to address the marketing bounty request again? I think they're wondering why this isn't proposed to the marketing bounty, why it's coming to the main treasury, Jan.
Yeah, I think it's because of the educational resources. Since we want to create a lot of educational materials, then we kind of got in doubt if we should go to marketing, because we will not be like promoting, inviting people to. Actually, it was just a misunderstanding of the goals. We thought that this was more an educational initiative than marketing, because we will targeting our internal audience a lot to engage them into Polkadot and going to market for Latam, for Spanish content. But if you guys think we should submit to marketing, we will definitely evaluate this after the outcome of this 28 days,
Yeah. Okay, nice. Anybody else have a comment or question here? All right then. Thanks very much, Jan, for coming on. We'll check in next week, halfway through the decision period, and like I said, 30% support right now. But you were speaking to some DVs, so we'll have to see what happens there.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, all of them actually. We're trying to discuss with all of them.
Good
Thank
stuff.
you.
All right, thanks very much. What do we have next? Yes, next is it's time to talk about the Giga Hydration campaign. So thanks for waiting, everybody. We have Jakob on the show. Did we lose Ben? No, there he is. 5 million dot on the edge here, 53.5%. I feel like this is where we were last week. We're just further in the decision period now and looking to confirm in 3.5 days as it stands right now. We'll start the timer. Guys, what do you want to say this time?
Yeah, more and more we are thinking about it, and we are obviously in touch with a lot of people within ecosystem and outside ecosystem. We are getting like real reasonable concerns that if this proposal will not pass, it will jeopardize not just finally traction of the ecosystem on the very important issue, which was always liquidity or on-chain liquidity, but even demand for DOT itself. Which I want to target your mention. Maybe it's something that I shouldn't mention, but it's really on the table. And we were trying hard to communicate as much as possible with all DVs, but unfortunately, for some reasons, it didn't play out. I just want to say that if you feel uncomfortable about size or about the topic, it's absolutely okay. Like these are very hard topic and ask with which most of the people reasonably doesn't have any experiences or much of experiences, but if it's your case, maybe you should really consider to abstain rather than like having some decision, because like then there is a question like if these people are really qualified to make such a hard decision without much of skin in the game, because on one side, on our side, they are builders, they are like biggest ecosystem wallets which are closely integrated with hydration and whole ecosystem of which our swaps and referrals from it is actually part of the revenues. It's part of the traction. It's like we are clearly hub for the cross-chain interactions. It's onboarding for many new users. Unfortunately, sometimes even offboarding for all users, etc. So I want to ask that if your decision or like if decision of some people will go bad, like what's the repercussion, or like what's the accountability, or like what's the outcome? Because like for some of these people who has just borrowed power, it's unfortunately not much in stake. For builders and for other people who has like very high financial or working stake in ecosystem, it could be like pretty disastrous event. And we will try to clear all the concerns. So we put a breakdown of KPIs and specific pools and assets. Obviously, it's subject to change, but subject to positive change. So like when there will be like new exciting ecosystem assets, or when there will be new integrations, we will obviously shift part of the budget towards them.
Jakob, we have three representatives from the DVs on the NA side here. I mean, do you want to give a second to have discourse with them?
Totally.
Okay. Why don't we hear from Kirilo first? You're part of the Jam Implementers DAO, right, sir? Did you have any insight as to the NA here?
Right.
We basically have all
Honestly,
DVs on the NA side except Kus DAO. So yeah, go ahead, sir.
So we had multiple rounds actually of the calls about this Giga Hydration, right, together with Jakub. I'm not sure if, I mean, Jay, you also were there, right? And you guys from Hungarian DAO, it's like pretty much all of them who voted nay were there.
I wasn't there, but yeah.
Okay, so I mean, we
It's
were
okay.
discussing this in Element channel, so it was pretty public. So our decision is basically based on the ideas that we believe that this is almost like giving money away, you know, while in the same case, Surab from Colorful Notion, he proposed a better idea where Polkadot can at least somehow acquire it, you know, like a portion of this, or maybe make this more of a loan. And that's pretty much was the reason of us saying nay.
Yeah, Sarab's idea to acquire hydration for less than it's worth, right?
I mean, it's discussable, right? You're putting this as a less than it was, but the idea is that there was no conversation discussed, right? So we made a proposition, right? But there was no counter proposition saying like, hey guys, you know, it's less than it was. Let's discuss demo. No, it just was. And now also what I see is like saying, yeah, on A are builders and on A are like guys who don't understand. You know, it's almost like doesn't sound good to me.
All right.
Yeah, excuse me if it sounds like that, but like clearly, like it's like people like I didn't find much of understanding, unfortunately. So it really was looking and sounded to me that this people doesn't have this background, and it's completely okay. Same as I don't have background in, for example, coding in Rust or zero knowledges. It's like completely fine. People have different experiences and different backgrounds, but also like the same as I know my limits. I wasn't telling to, for example, Robert Habermeyer, with whom I had like pretty close relationship. Like, hey Rob, you should code this function in this way because I don't like it. It will not work for hydration or for paraffins. You know, I was trusting to his background. You know, so and on the other hand, not sure what do you mean by like giving away or not sure what term did you use. It's like it's to users bringing scarce assets into ecosystem. It's not like wasting or something. Like we could debate that actually the reckless marketing spending without much of or any point on just like throwing tens of millions of dollars on KOLs saying nothing was maybe dumping and wasting, but this is actually like paying for useful service or activity. And like, unfortunately, there is too many proofs and cases that that current market or people outside of ecosystem, either investors or retail, like doesn't really want to hear every day that we have highest Nakamoto coefficient or we have most TPS or I don't know what. They need to try the stuff and see it, that it's actually good or as good as we are claiming.
Let's hear
as it's because
maybe we should hear from Ben real quick. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I just wasn't sure how long we actually had left because I got it sort of semi-minimized. But one point that was really important to make is that often people talk about use cases for DOT, right? And you've got DOT stakers, which is basically what 99% of people do, who are, and now you've got people perhaps that might mint VDOT or something and get involved in DeFi. But Gigadot as a product has seen a lot of interest from outside of the ecosystem as well as in. But Gigadot alone, with the incentives we've marked in this as part of this campaign, could be a supply sink for circa 25 million DOT, right? So if you remember the initial crowd loans that like hyped up the ecosystem crazy, I think the biggest one was in that sort of order of magnitude, right? Like we're talking millions of DOT that were sunk. And we haven't had that sort of supply sink apart from, oh yeah, I stake, since those crowd loan days, right? And that they were powerful movements for the ecosystem. So we've seen a few comments about, oh, it's giving this away and it's not getting anything back. But actually having a reason to buy and hold DOT is really important. And we can't pretend that it isn't when our treasury is in DOT, right? So I want to really stress that the DOT impact, that having that as a black hole for DOT could be really important for the ecosystem.
Mm-hmm. And I will just add here, if it wasn't like clear, the Gigadot and VDOT are opening doors to strategy which will cost actual buy pressure and demand for DOT in times when ecosystem generate nearly zero revenue. So like jeopardizing this opportunity it will be like a huge economic disaster for ecosystem, especially in these like challenging times. I can go to the details, but like every time when I'm speaking with hedge funds or liquid funds, they are getting super excited, but unfortunately they don't have capacity. Even people like I was, for example, yesterday talking with seed investor of Polkadot, and he didn't know about like our possibility of like borrowing stablecoins against his DOT. And I mentioned to him, and he was like, "Oh, that's awesome! I'm planning to buy a new house in October, so I can borrow instead of selling DOT." And I was like, "Yeah, exactly." And then he was like, "Okay, so can I borrow $800K?" And like when and I was like, maybe not now, because like we are maxed out, unfortunately. And that's because the ecosystem really likes like liquidity, and that's a persistent issue of last 3 years for many objective reasons. So yeah, unfortunately, it is what it is.
We're waiting
And either
either
we can like do something about it, or like do nothing and just pivot.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm pretty confused by this one. I mean, it's the game we have to play. If we want to have capital in the ecosystem, we basically have to pay for it. That's just how this whole game works, and that's how every other ecosystem has done it. And I don't know what we should do if we don't pay for it. I don't see any other viable options, actually. So that's a little concerning. We did throw up, Ben, you wanted to show this chart that we just did on the Koos here. So here's how the distribution of DOT rewards goes to stakers. This is actually twice as severe as the distribution that Sarab posted to, I think, add fuel to the mid-curve fire, that all the rewards just go to a few people. This is how capitalism works, people. We give capital to those who put capital at risk. It's just how it works. I gotta say that it is painful as a DOT holder to be, I don't know, what do you call it in basketball when somebody goes for a layup and then, stuffed at the rim by people who honestly are not offering an alternative situation. Do we want more capital in the ecosystem? Yes. Would it make everything better? Yes. Would it attract more people and users? Yes. So if not this, then what?
And one important point, that we had capital on our side in past, and we lost its trust. So like we have to rebuild it, unfortunately. Like Angie is from the venture or finance space in US. She probably knows better than most of you how is it to get attention of capital, especially US capital, which was never super close to Polkadot, and how extremely hard and like painful it is.
It is shocking. The one thing I wish this was broken up. I wish it wasn't 5 million up front. I wish it was a monthly payout. And that probably would have faced a lot less of sticker shock. Because what we see, sticker shock, and then made up excuses for why we shouldn't spend so much money. I really don't get it, the people on the nay side. I'm sorry, guys. Unless you have a better option.
Just on the
you're hurting us bad.
Sorry, one very last point. The exact same proposal for 5 million DOT was on the table from one key organization in ecosystem for multiple parachains. And as it was like hard to coordinate, but most importantly, as ecosystem wasn't even in state that such proposal would matter, because we didn't have like ledger support, we didn't have custodians, we didn't have anything. So we actually resort to launching and setting up Velocity to actually prepare ecosystem or enable such proposal even work. So such proposal isn't something like Outreach's new idea. This was already on table like in 2022, people. And we actually resort to more rational and better solution, which was first solve the onboarding issues and other necessities, which were way bigger than the liquidity itself, or it wouldn't even allow to flow any liquidity into the ecosystem.
So we're way over time here, after hours discussion, but we should hear from Jose, new haircut arc. Jose, You came into Kustau and really, really were quite rude to a lot of people, and I hope you have
Don't say
something
it.
kinder to say
Don't say
today.
it.
Go ahead.
Don't say it. I did apologize, heartfelt apology for everyone who I basically disrupted. Nevertheless, let's just go to the point here. I'm not against this proposal at all. I'm pro this proposal. What I'm against it is basically not having anything in the return for the ecosystem. Yeah, I agree. The return will come in terms of traffic, more people trading and whatnot. That's great. All checks, all the boxes check, right? Good. Even the amount, yeah, we can do, 5 million. I mean, $5 million is nothing really. 3 months later, 4 months later, we had the money back.
Yeah.
No big deal, right? So, my point is like, what is Polkadot getting in return apart from traffic? And can we get something more than that? Because it's in our own interest. So there are scenarios that we can put in place that basically will make that happen, and that has been put in the table. Anyways, we are all in, just talk about it. I have drummed that drum plenty of times, and this is where I stopped drumming it. So that's all I have to say.
Okay, so you said there's no return, and then you listed a bunch of returns, and then you said you want more return. Ben?
Yep.
Okay.
Would be great if we could vote in hydration. The Polkadot Treasure vote in hydration would be nice. I think that would be like a good return.
But actually, Polkadot was getting already from the first campaign. Before the campaign, there was many time cases when companies didn't want to integrate Polkadot Asset Hub. When we launched the first, I didn't want to speak about this publicly, but this is what was happening. Even if you offered them money, when we launched the first campaign and there was an uptick in traction, they changed their mind, and suddenly it was possible to integrate Polkadot Asset Hub and especially stablecoins on Asset Hub as most important crypto product market fit, not just these days, but in general, even to enable it, even to work it. And that's what is Polkadot getting. And this, as I mentioned, once again, with more liquidity, it will enable strategies which will cause significant buy pressure on DOT. I don't know if you have other option, or if you think that people will be buying thousands of cores for full price for the next 3 years. Maybe I don't see them. So this is what Polkadot will get. Polkadot will get higher traction, more integrations. I will be able to convince all my contacts and builders and funds to come finally here without being ridiculed. This is my personal goal, to bring as many builders outside, but they cannot right now because there is no point for them to come. There is not much of on-chain users, and also there is not much of liquidity and capital to come. So why they would come?
Polkadot is.
And we need more builders.
Polkadot is I think 27 by market cap right now, and then by TVL it's somewhere like 155th. So if you're external capital and you're looking at places to park it, I don't know.
And when we had,
you gotta offer alternatives.
When we had reserve capital, when we brought 20 millions from Ethereum side, we started to buy ecosystem assets. We were buying DOT. We spent 3.5 million DOT on the open market as the only project. As the only project in ecosystem. We were buying other ecosystem assets like IBTC, VDOT. We were always ecosystem first. Even this proposal, when it will pass in the next block, it will increase the TVL of Bifrost by 50% plus their cash flow right away. That's actually why we are not asking for small installments, because we want to help as much as possible to other projects right away alongside with us, because this can't be just about us, but we want to make this beneficial for all users as a kind of wealth effect for them, and also the other ecosystem projects, Mythical and others.
Somebody in the chat is suggesting that we cap the amount of rewards that users could get, but I just want to emphasize that this is not going to work. Okay, if you want people to put their capital at risk, you have to pay them. and if you cap how much they can get paid, then they won't put as much in. It's like imagine if you wanted to obtain network security, but you capped how much staking reward somebody will get. Are they going to contribute to security without getting rewarded? No. Are they going to contribute to TVL without getting rewarded? No. Like trying to make everything fair, is just going to lead to worse outcomes. Obviously, this is just not an option.
Yeah, like for example,
life isn't
there's a
fair.
good
Just
point.
get used to it. Angie, let's hear from Angie. Let's hear from Angie. Let's hear from Angie.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, no,
Like,
go ahead.
because-
Go ahead. Finish that thought. I don't want to. Oh,
No,
okay.
I just want to say that there is a huge place for creativity and other systems. So, for example, if we had proof of personhood in ecosystem, we can do, for example, like we can do bonuses for like personhood or like proof users with proof of personhood, etc. It's just there's so much to do which wouldn't fit into the proposal, because even if the proposal wasn't as exhaustive as it could be, like people were focusing just on one number and they were missing everything else. So we were just like, let's not overcomplicate this and focus on the most important stuff.
I was just going to add, just to give a traditional finance analogy, if you look at the biggest players in trading, just basic stock trading, they're willing to take a certain loss on certain clients, certain counterparties, because they're going to get market share, and flow begets flow in trading. And so the ones at the top are willing to lose a little bit of money to get larger market share because their outsized long-term position, or their long-term position, is way outsized compared to what it would be if they just did every trade on its own.
Like notoriously, like stock exchanges and even crypto exchanges, they are, for example, incentivizing market makers with actually also, like, they are basically paying them positive fees for filled orders, because they know that as users or retail will have like good liquidity and experience, they will get back to it. Or like, unfortunately, like everything in the world is running on incentives. Like China is incentivizing their logistics last 30 years and they are dominating the world. And like EU and US can do whatever about it, but that's how it works. Or Uber was notoriously incentivizing rides for almost most of their life from VC's monies to just capture the market. And unfortunately, the aggressive US crypto projects are doing the same playbook. Like Optimism is investing in their ecosystem $1 billion. We probably even more. Like Optimism at least put the number officially, but Sui, I'm pretty sure that they are way beyond that.
Yeah, I don't think
users and builders are actually flocking and heading there, unfortunately.
Exactly. I don't think it's unfortunate at all. It's like people are making big risks to have big outcomes. Kristen, you had a comment. Let's hear from you.
Yeah, it is obvious that Polkadot is on the nay side, but I want to say is that our position has always remained the same. We believe that this kind of incentive is certainly useful, but the question is, should it really come from Treasury? And the Treasury is taking on all the risks. So
where do you suggest it would come from instead?
What do you mean?
Where, if it doesn't come from Treasury, where should it come from? Because if we're 155th by TVL, and we probably want to be a little bit higher, you suggest that it shouldn't come from Treasury. So where do you think it should come from?
It should our concerns is that does that mean that other projects that they applying for the same incentives we should support or not? Is there gonna be a standard that what kind of a project we're gonna support the incentive and others projects not? So yeah, it's your decision to make, but it's our concerns. Like if other project that they believe that they perform very well, they need incentives. What should the standards be? We can incentive the hydration. Why not? We incentive them. So there's a concern.
So we didn't get an answer on where should the funds come from, but we moved over to a slippery slope precedent argument.
No, just quick. Obviously, we will be incentivizing, same as we will put our incentives as well, same as we did. Of course, we just want to target them, and obviously, it will be easier process with our community than with Polkadot community. So it will be case by case.
Jose.
Yeah, I'm totally agree with you guys about incentivizing the community in ways to bring more capital in the ecosystem. That's out of the question. This is it, right? You're the star player in DeFi in the ecosystem. I see a little problem with things like, okay, is this going to squeeze other players from the DeFi ecosystem basically out of the game? Are these other players like Akala having part of these incentives in a way that they can also basically bank in it? And lastly, you know, really that is just touching a nerve. It's at least my nerve. It's are these funds flowing into a hydration, outbalancing the voting system? I don't know. I need answers to this, and kind of like if I can get a straight answer in terms of, you know, hydration having a position in voting and where this kind of like voting delegation is going, that would be great, because that's kind of like what's stopping me from just voting A. Really, I mean, you know.
So we can
about voting. Sorry,
we can clear that like very quickly. There's like no possible for us to vote with these funds.
To vote with the DAO?
No, because we are turning them into VDOT, and then VDOT is turned to Gigadot, and you cannot vote with Gigadot. That's easy. So it's
can you vote
like,
with VDOT?
No. You can vote with VDOT, but it needs to be locked. But it needs to be locked on Bifrost.
Okay.
So we wouldn't be able to use it, and of course, Polkadot Treasury will have proxy account connected with this. So. I don't think it would be like very visible, and like we are vendor locked. Like if we would try to manipulate governance with these funds, I think that's a very good case to just turn us off. so no, I don't think it's possible even theoretically.
So what you're saying is that none of these is outweighing the voting system. Is that what you're saying, right?
Yeah, of course.
Perfect.
So no voting with incentives, obviously.
Great. I'm changing my vote to J. There.
Thank you. Like, by the way, like everything what we are putting into proposals, we are doing. We are never like going around these things.
Imdior has a burning question. I think he's been trying to get an answer from this for a while, and it's about incentives flowing into hydration. I'm guessing it's asking if protocol-owned liquidity will be earning incentives from this as well.
No, never. Like we are never eating out incentives from users. Why? Like we want to keep all the incentives for users.
All right, there's your answer, Imdior. Yes, Limo.
But I would just add that unfortunately there were some cases in the first campaign when some teams were doing it.
Imdior says the top 20 wallets are from the team.
No, and
there's absolute nonsense.
This is so funny. You can just ask the question.
I wish I had so much fun.
So we have an EVM environment, and substrate addresses are different from EVM addresses, right? And so you have to resolve them in some way. So those top addresses are new capital that have come outside the ecosystem because they are EVM-based wallets. So these are not, there's not some grand conspiracy that hydration is farming millions and millions of DOT with all these incentives, right? It's crazy. This is all part of this conspiracy theory. And no, I haven't answered it, Vidor. I'm not wasting my time on drama and things like that, rather than just answering actual questions from people who aren't trying to come up with conspiracies. Hydration is a huge supporter of Polkadot. Everything we do is sporting Polkadot label. We were the first to do the powered by Polkadot. We never shy away from the fact that it's Polkadot, despite being told religiously.
Secured by Polkadot was put by us on our website first, when every other projects were hiding their association with Polkadot. And then the banner became cute and favorite.
All right, I just got a DM from MDR here. It says the third account is by Giraffe and the fifth account is by Tan, it's SM10.
Both members of the community. Nothing to do with hydration team.
Not on the hydration team, MDR. What do you say to that?
Not even.
All right,
And
let's hear
like
from
Giraffe actually came from Akala community, and he stick to us because, by his words, we are materializing what he was expecting from Akala. So like, okay, so and the SM guy, like that's another like community member from other ecosystem. I think he started in Moonriver or somewhere. So as he built up somehow his wealth, like good job to him. And that's it, but it's
all
not
right.
him.
So the whole story that the team is farming is based on the fact that some of these top wallets, it was just a story that they're on the team, but they're not.
I think the top wallets, the first four letters are like the same, and everybody only reads the first four letters, but they're completely different wallets. Also, for example, I don't work on the Hydra team, for example, but I bet people, if I had like a lot of money in Hydra, would be saying the same thing, right? Like, people need to actually read the proposal and use ecosystem products and not just come up with random falsehoods to try and flood everyone. Like in the YouTube chat, people are saying, can we limit the amount of rewards per wallet? If I had $10 million on hydration and you capped it at 10 grand, I'm just going to make 1,000 wallets. Like,
yes,
you guys all work in crypto. Like, are you honestly this insane? You must be acting in the most bad faith to say that OpenGov's a precedent-based system. It's the most moronic thing I've ever heard. That if this happens, then we have to give it to somebody else, or we can't give incentives to somebody else. Like, every argument is just the most bad faith thing ever. Like, honestly, read the proposal. Don't just read the title and go, oh my God, it must be a conspiracy. Like, it boggles my mind that this is like the comments people are having.
All right, I got another list here. This is top A dot holders. It has Jakob as the third biggest A dot holder. Jakob?
Yeah, he has conviction in Polkadot. He has DOT. Like, do you want the founders of ecosystem teams to not have DOT? It's like Hydration has so much DOT. It's probably the parachain with the most DOT because it's convicted to Polkadot and wants to be here. Like, you guys are insane.
I have third biggest wallet of DOT or A dot.
Yeah, 25.6 thousand AV dot.
But it's
AV dot is V dot in the money market.
Yeah, but
so Jacob holds a lot of staked dot. And
it was looped.
And this is bad.
But wait,
using the products.
But wait, this was looped with DOT, so the actual net worth or the actual value of it is like, I don't know, like 30 or 40K, and it's just like leveraged V dot position. I'm poor. People, I'm poor Polkadot founder. Like, no conspiracies, please.
Can you imagine how much further along this ecosystem would be if we spent so much time building stuff rather than trying to find conspiracies?
Or I don't know, maybe I should like dump the ecosystem tokens on Binance or somewhere as other people and like Gucci. But like, no, like I like our products. Like, I love our products because they're literally better than others. So like, how is this better? And also, like, come on, like 25K of VDOT is not much, unfortunately. So it's bad if I'm the biggest wallet, but it's also like leverage position, so like it's not really that much.
All right. All right, I think they answered your questions, MDR. I think hopefully, well, it doesn't. It looks like we're all just entrenched here. Crazy stuff. All right, so we are going to see how this goes next week. We'll see if we continue to sit at TVL position 255 or perhaps put ourselves in a position to be considered by other ecosystems. Yeah, it's wild. DV, I will just say it again. I mean, you know, Kustau's DV, but the power that DV has in this OpenGov game is pretty wild. I would advocate again for reducing that power, and maybe we could get some other voters in if that happened. would definitely be good.
And I want to excuse myself from not discussing this proposal with DAO for even a second, and talking just with other DVs.
Yeah. Okay. All right, let's move on. Hey, is there any other people who want to just? That went on way too long. Look at what happened to Ryan. He actually just left. He left. The timer's gone. So, are there any other refs any other presentations we had for today? I think we're done. All right. Yeah, Jose?
Sorry, this is nothing to do with anything, but
Perfect.
I came to this space and I came to AAG because I'm expecting neutrality. And let's just try to keep it like that, I think, because otherwise we'll start differentiating people.
What do you mean neutrality?
Well, there is cases on which, we can take the position of being a judge, right? And we're here just to air our views, regardless of what that is. And I want to still feel that I can do that. So that's all I'm saying is like, I want to feel like at home again. And I'm feeling because I just being airing my opinions that are right or wrong, they are what they are.
Do you feel silenced?
A little bit.
Really? By who?
But listen, even with my DAO, I'm feeling silent. So it's like at this point, I'm like, I'm looking at myself and really reassessing if there is something mentally wrong with me, right? At that point, right?
That's
so
actually that's a good question.
I'm just saying that, and I appreciate the way you have handled me in the Goose DAO, and I'm just thankful for that. But yeah, it's just I wanna feel more like in a neutral place in which we can come and basically, regardless of our thinking, religion, and color and whatnot, be able to basically voice our concerns.
Go ahead, Giga.
Yeah, that's well said, Jose. I felt that. But can we switch to something positive? Toronto was crazy. Anybody who was there, anybody who was around, anybody who crushed it out there, just like, my God, you guys deserve a huge round of applause. From Web Zero, all the booths, everything. I was not there, Ben. I had in-laws in, and the FOMO took over me. I watched through Jay and Natty the entire time. I can't even believe like what you guys pulled off. That's incredible. Everybody deserves a real round of applause, especially for representing Canada. Like Toronto people go hard, and that's a competitive city. Good job, everybody.
I second that. I mean, consensus was great, right? But really, Web Zero event was like, it was setting the pace, and it's awesome. The results and the amount of people going through was awesome. Really.
What about this guy, Jay? How do you do it? How? How are you everywhere at once? Always, it's amazing, man.
He's going 1,000 miles per hour, man. Like,
Can I add something to that too? I wasn't at Consensus. We sent Charlie Riedel, who's was at Doppler, now is at Mythical, and just based on feedback and brainstorming and all of the conversations, we ended up having some pretty big epiphanies around gaming in Polkadot. So I just have to second that. I had major FOMO for not going. And Jose, I don't know the whole background here, but I would say this conversation was great because you ask a lot of questions and you're thinking evolved. I keep equating what you just said, Jose, to we keep saying in gaming, we need to create a playground. We need a space where all the game developers, non-crypto game developers too, can come, kind of see what other things see what else is happening. It's like a playground. And one thing that's important on a playground is you have to be nice on the playground.
Yeah. I forget that sometimes. I'm like, get nasty. Anyways.
No, I'm not saying you. I'm just saying generally. It can get a little.
I think a lot of the people though making comments can also go a little far. Like asking founders about their wallets is kind of crazy. Like we got to keep it nice, and people are working really hard. I mean, this hydration team is stuck through thick and thin. I'm all for that proposal. I think it's great through and through. I don't think it's just about community incentives. It's about attracting people from everywhere. And sometimes people need that boost to show off what they got. So
we need to remember that making a comment in 143 characters is very easy. but the repercussion of those comments are rippling out. And there is nothing better than me seeing all of your faces and seeing all your reactions when I'm talking, because that is where the value is really. So that's just, I'm talking to myself in that because I do that. So
things will get better the moment that everybody actually reads referendums and understands the ecosystem before they comment conspiracy theories.
No headline comments. Yeah. Read it. Understand, ask questions, but like be respectful. If you use this platform, which Jay gives us, like, chill out, ask a good question. People come here from their busy day to, talk about what they're doing and share. They don't have to do that.
Well, there is a lot of, in the Kyoto times, we learned that, yeah, you can read a referendum, but you have to go deeper. And this is part of it. This is, we have grown out of the Kyoto time, but we're still having those issues, I think, because, there is things that you can make up from numbers, but there is nothing like, we'll say something like what we're talking about. So I was very vague there, but hey.
Well, very last comment. Well, just two things. If we would know about the better thing to do, we would propose that, or we would go doing that. And the second, which all of you need to understand, especially NAG voters, why we are very few, or why we are here, why we are standing here, and why we can't even think about proposing such proposal, because this wouldn't be a case in past. And I can guarantee all of you that I would be million times more happy, and my life would be million times more easier and less stressful if there would be another 10 projects, which all of them would get like 1/10 of our proposal or something. Or maybe we wouldn't need any incentives at all. But here we are, and yeah, we have to do something. Or just starting.
All right, taking a look at one ref that we're going to get a deeper dive on next week. This is 1580 that just came up from Block Deep Labs. They're going to be on the show next week. So a little preview of what this is: 246 and a third thousand USDC for a simple trick to make Polkadot wallets compatible, or Polkadot apps compatible with MetaMask, without the, what is it called? The MetaMask clicker or something like that. This is what they built here. I think what I'm going to be looking for here is the interest. It looks like we have Mythos, Frequency, and Polymech interested in this so far. But we'll have to see how people feel about funding this, more infrastructure. It's already ready, but, we always have this problem with, are we funding infrastructure? Is it ever going to get used? We'll have to see if Gotham can make a case for that next week on the show. And taking a look at some refs that we've spoken about recently, .memo version 2. I don't know how Damsky does it, but flying through here, 99.9% in favor of this one so far, with 21 million dots on the I side for a nice easy 70,000 USDT. We also have Kagome, the C++ implementation we've talked about the last 2 weeks. This one, oh, there you are, Camille. Do you want to say something about this?
Well, we had very long discussion about hydration, so maybe just a smooth transition. And Jakub said important things. So we had a brand secured by Polkadot, and one of the things. So what does it even mean to be secure? Take a look at the #1 by TVO chain. It's Ethereum, and why they are secure, why they have no downtime. Well, they have multiple client implementations, they have plenty of infrastructure, and they invested very heavily on that. So yeah, that's what we're trying to bring with Kagome. And if you have more questions, more details, just take a look at our referendum page and comments. So yeah, after our previous show, we left some comments about salaries, and other DVs who we were able to speak, they actually eyed our referendum. So really, if you don't have your vote, just left your comment. That would be very helpful. Thanks.
Totally. Kirilo, Jam Implementers DAO is abstain here? What's the thoughts?
Yeah, we're abstaining because a lot of us are recusing to vote because we have I mean, Camille is part of us, so it's
Yeah.
a tricky question. We need to collect enough votes to say yes. I just want to give some more of a technical details about what Camille is saying, because I can understand that in Polkadot community, client diversity is not something really importantly put, although I will give you two examples. So the first example is related to Ethereum, because the company I'm working for, we also have a team that develops the Lodestar. It's an Ethereum alternative client. And so just recently there was a bug during the merge, during the one of the hard forks, where actually only our client was the one who sustained the bug that appeared there and supported network in the live stay. And the second example I want to bring, it was happened lately on Kusama, when there was a dispute storm, basically brought by the bug happened in statement distribution. And the reason there is because there is literally only one implementation, which is a parity Rust implementation, right? And we had seen the similar bugs happened on Polkadot within the last couple of years, like multiple times. So this is like a really important matter of kind of having these multiple clients. This is like a fundamental ground for all the distributed systems. This is what Bitcoin has, Ethereum has. I mean, even like Solana and Optimism are doing this, and many, many more.
Yeah, totally. I think it's important stuff. Jose.
Yeah, you know, if we go back, I just wrote it down, but if we go back into the Ethereum times at the beginning, you know, Ethcore, Gavin, other company, they developed the client for it, and basically it saved the skin of Ethereum, because all the Ethereum clients were running the same client, and the ones who saved the network was just the Ethcore basically client, right? So yeah, this is super important. And that brings me to the next question. I don't know if you can answer here, but maybe you can prepare for the next show. That is, when YAM arrives, do we need to have another client, or is it going to be just, you know, all the different YAM implementations just picking up that ball?
Yeah, I briefly answered that on show before previous show, but yeah, long story short, we don't know exact timing of first when Gem is coming. Maybe Kirilo can comment, because he was on a Gem Experience event in Lisbon, so maybe he knows more. Unfortunately, I couldn't join this time. But yeah, long story short, we do not expect it to come in the nearest future. At very least, it would take, well, Q3 2025 is when we expect the Grey Paper 1.0 release to arrive. After that, the first test networks will happen, maybe the public ones that people can try. But there is a huge chunk of work to actually migrate all the parachains. And with that, well, actually, what we two things. First is that a lot of code from Kagome is going to be reused in our C++ Gem implementation. And second thing, the parachains are not going anywhere. They're still going to use a lot of software that we actually develop and which could be reused. And the importance of actually, I anticipate that importance of multiple parachains implementations will grow in the nearest future, because, well, in Western, we already see that the logic, for example, of staking is moving away from the relay chain to parachains. And that means that basically a relay chain will be responsible for safety, whereas parachains will be responsible for liveness of the relay chain. So even there, and there is like maybe 90% of code of Kagome is intersecting. We're currently only a relay chain client, but in future, yeah, becoming a parachain would be no-brainer. So yeah, that's all I have to. I can add here.
Career?
Yeah, I wanted to add one more thing regarding these alternative clients. Regarding the adoption, this is something that really difficult to track, even for developers of the client. But I will bring you two examples. Unfortunately, the first one is from Ethereum world. Is, for example, every time I just worked a lot of years there. If I want to build any application for Ethereum, like a backend application, you know, whatever, it's like a Etherscan or something like that, I will use Go Ethereum, I will use Red, I would use other clients, depend on the language, as a library, because all the abstractions there already are implemented. I don't need to re-implement them. The same comes for a Polkadot. If I would want to implement backend application in C++, I will use Kagome. If I would want to implement backend application on Rust, I will use Pirate. If I will use I actually recently had a conversation with a person, I don't want to mention who it is, who told to me that he was using Gossamer, our Go client, for his own developments of subsquid type, like a blockchain parser. These are things you can't track because those are just developers who are using it as a library. It's just can't track them. You can't really show the numbers, but they're really, really important. Regarding Gem, a lot of things that I can say won't make a lot of people happy. The only thing that I can say is that, yeah, it's not 1 year. It's not probably even 2 years of a journey. I would, honestly, my bet is like around 3 years of journey when we will be ready. And this is a lot of time. Like Gem, the gray paper is just a 0 block. After that, there will be many, many updates, many, many changes. It's only a protocol description, but 80% of the code is actually what connects different algorithms together, all the networking stuff and all the things. You can check, there is no even networking description in the gray paper. It's like many years to come until it will be ready, production ready with all the parachains migrated there. So we still need to think about Polkadot now and here.
Well said. On the nay side, there is an Anon account. DAO actually is very strongly nay, and Chaos DAO. So yeah, it's interesting. We'll have to see if
I know what's that because on the very first show I wasn't here, and when I was presenting in a week, yeah, the vote was already casted, and luckily for other DVs I was able actually to communicate before they vote, and that made a lot of difference. Just an advice for future applicants.
If you can turn around DAO before the end of the vote, it'll revote. If you get in there and turn it around, just so you know, it's not too late. Okay.
Will be worth it.
All right. Let's see. I think we have a few more here. We talked about Giga. Texas Blockchain Council. Oh, this is nice. Grizz with his 100,000 USDC request for the Texas Blockchain Council. This is going well now. 74.4% in favor there. 30 million on the I side. Nice to see. Volmex not getting any love again. I guess not interested in this particular DeFi integration right now. And before I go to the confirming refs, is there anything else people want to talk about? Getting kind of deep into the show here. Jam token? Yeah, Juba.
I'd like to talk about the marketing bounty for a few minutes if we have time.
What's going on with the marketing bounty?
Well, I mean, to follow up on Kirlo's comment, focus on Polkadot now.
Yeah.
We're really excited. We've been putting together a submission for a refill, and this will be coming up in the next week or so.
Okay.
These team members, the curators, have been a pleasure to work with. Everybody's worked really, really hard. And I think one of the things that would like to show off a little is how we really listened to regional representatives and their needs. For example, stablecoin Latin America was a big thing, so we put effort there. And as of now, tailing the crazy work by Velocity Labs, there's an exchange there, and there are people on the ground talking, discussing, creating awareness, creating content, trying to get stablecoin adoption bigger in Latin America. We were approached for Asia representation. Asia felt underrepresented, so we hired a full service marketing agency to help support, get in on the ground there and help out the teams that are really trying to push the footprint. Angela's here, Strind was here earlier. They're going hard on esports. We see that. Let's see how we can support that as well. And we're doing some product placement activations there. And it's all going to come in this entire submission that we have. And I'm really excited for it. And I think it's nice to see, a more unified bounty structure. Bounties are really interesting, just the way they operate in general. It's not so easy. It's not like, hey, you just have money to spend. It's a lot of discussion, a lot of poking you in like DMs. And it's been a wild ride, but I really wanted to just like tip my hat to the people I'm working with and everybody else who's taken time to submit something, come back if we've been negotiating and pushing out their vision of Polkadot as well. It's all about the submissions that really make this start to thrive. And it's cool to see that possibly the next iteration of this marketing bounty is going to be more about analysis of what's working and where to double down where things are working. Because I feel a little bit Polkadot is so global. It's been a little bit of shooting in the dark. And now we can start to find pockets of opportunities and really focus in on those. So that's something to look forward to from us. And we'll probably be here to present, Jay, if you let us. And it'll be great.
No way, man.
No way, man.
Looking forward to seeing that. I know
Yeah.
you guys have been working very hard. So I'll have to check that out. Yeah, Jose.
We learn from you.
Yeah, no, great work from you guys. So let me understand something. So it's like you have done a great, like extremely good job, right? But we are lacking into people approaching the marketing bounty to promote Polkadot in ways they feel that needs to be promoted, specifically Polkadot, right? So we're talking about basically having an agency that can set up a booth in a Web2 show in Vancouver. And I'll go to marketing bounty and just get it funded and then just get it, with the people in and whatnot. Will that be kind of, will that, yeah, also that will be an event kind of, oh, I see. So, but what about the cost of the booth? Is that marketing or is that an event?
So if you're holding an event, then it's quite clear that the event's bounty, because that's their expertise, right? They can help guide you. They can help. Maybe they know more people. Maybe they can help expand this event and optimize anything advertising this event, community building around the event, trying to find interesting ways to create awareness around the event. That we would probably help, and we work in tandem with them. So sometimes they actually pass us this part of their requests and say, why don't you guys look at this and help share the costs and that kind of stuff. So
I see.
Yeah, bounties are still such a good thing that it's taking a lot of teamwork, but it's slowly getting there.
Right. So any proposal coming to that is events has a marketing component. It's better just to break it down in a way that guys can digest it easier, and that will probably make things more agile in a way.
Always come with the easiest, explain like I'm 5 where the money's going, and that makes things so much easier. Like, I'd rather get a very, very broken down budget opposed to 30 pages of text. Right? 30 pages of text are what could be, but the budget is like hardcore. This dollar will go here. And it helps us and everybody else just kind of, negotiate what the best pricing is, and based on expertise from a lot of people in the ecosystem as well, right? A lot of communication going on.
That's great. Thanks, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll see it next week.
Yeah. Yes, hopefully. Absolutely. Right. Thank you.
Cool, good stuff. All right, we have a bunch of confirming refs this week. Bifrost's $1 million loan with the 6% interest. This enjoyed 87.4% approval and just 1 day left of the confirmation period for them. The Iber Labs Spanish BD team, this is confirming with 69.5%. They were going to come on the show today, but had to pull out last minute for a meeting. But that's 144,500 USDC for them. The Polkadot Storage Phase 3 by Iger, 1.9 million USDT is going out now. 77% of voters favored this one, and that is almost halfway through its 7-day confirmation period. And then the Jam China Academy Educational Roadshow, just on the line right now, 50.5% in favor here, and looks like at the very end of the confirmation period, it will be in sudden death. So that'll be interesting to see, especially with the Jam token debate that came out this week. That is right on the edge there. 31 million versus 30.3 million here. We have Hungry, Polka World, Trustless Core, and Permanence DAO on the I side, Chaos DAO and Koos DAO on the nay side, and Jam implementers staying out of this one. Very, very interesting. That's the show today. Everybody enjoy pizza day. Hopefully you get out and get some pizza time with your fellow crypto enthusiasts. And what a day. I think we just hit a new all-time high, or tapped a new all-time high maybe during this show. Very exciting stuff. We have a big year ahead, And we'll see you again on Monday. This Space Monkey Sunday, by the way, I got to sit down with, well, you'll see an interview with 3 totally wrecked, exhausted people. It's me, Roman, and Zoe talking about the magic behind the Web 0 events. Actually, some pretty cool insights with them. So that's coming out this Sunday. And other than that, we'll see you on Monday. Thanks very much, everybody.